So I don't think anyone was expecting an open world Sonic game. I know I wasn't. For classic franchises, it works best for stuff like Zelda, which is why Zelda went back to it with Breath of the Wild and the upcoming Tears of the Kingdom. But hey, anything can indeed work if the devs can put their all into it. And from my understanding, Sonic Forces didn't really go over that well. Now, I could be majorly wrong on that, but I guess Sonic Team wanted to change things up so they won't get upstaged again by a bunch of fans. Say that like Sonic Mania isn't one of my favorite Sonic games. Now, from my understanding, this game is a tad bit of an experiment, because Sonic Team wants to figure out what direction they want to take for the next decade of Sonic games. Director Kishimoto Morio-san figured that Unleashed-style levels wouldn't really satisfy fans anymore, though I think the issue was just the length of the levels, and again, I haven't played Sonic Forces, so yeah, take that as you will. But thinking about this, longtime Sonic series producer Yuzuka Takeshi-san thought that these levels were too linear and needed some more freedom. Looking towards the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis/Mega Drive and Sonic Adventure for inspiration, Kishimoto-san said, "Fuck it, let's combine the adventure fields with gameplay." I mean, yeah, you could explore the adventure fields, but there's no actual combat, and these places are pretty small, doubly so for Station Square. With this idea, they started development, and with the new gameplay style that they wanted, they held more than the usual amount of playtesting. Said development did get hurt a tad bit thanks to COVID-19, so the devs couldn't get a good sense of the bigger picture, being all spread out as, they were. But hey, it looks like things worked out for everyone in the end. Now for the story, they actually brought in Ian Flynn, who wrote the Sonic comics, published by Archie Comics, and some episodes of Sonic Boom. I guess he's a good writer. I mean, I've only seen clips of Sonic Boom, and there's good writing in that show, like Knuckles' confusing swimming lessons with Prison, so I'm excited to see what we got. This is my review of Sonic Frontiers. It was dark and stormy night, and Eggman is hatching a new plan by putting something into an altar. Ancient robots are summoned, but things aren't really going as planned as he gets sucked into said altar. Cutting to a brighter note, Sonic, Tails, and Amy are headed towards the Starfall Islands to investigate why the Chaos Emerald's headed there. Though the tornado hits some turbulence, and they go through a portal, only for Sonic to end up in Green Hill Zone. For how many times is it now? Seriously, knockoff or otherwise. Green Hill is always here. After clearing Act X, Sonic comes back to the real world and a random voice tells him that he's the one. With some exploration out of the way, Sonic runs into this chick who attacks him with this giant titan thing and just leaves him there. Sonic will eventually come across Amy in what I can only call a guardian, but then again, I'm shocked I remember that thing from Kolyoko. It's only used twice. Regardless, after finding these memory tokens, Sonic frees her, and instead of trying to find the others, Amy wants to help this Coco thing find its missing lover, which, yeah, they eventually do, while also learning more about the island. Even running into that little shit that attacked us named Sage. She works for Dr. Eggman. Shocker, I know, since she refers to Sonic as the enemy. Not only is she trying to stop Sonic with the various titans that she sicks on him, but she's also trying to help Eggman out of the digital world, which is going to be hard because Code Earth won't work here, so there's no real safe way to get him out. Though I'm gonna guess the same thing applies to Sonic's friends since they're in between the real and digital world. After helping out the Coco Amy was following and defeating this island's titan, Sonic flies off to find Tails, but finds Knuckles instead because he was investigating runes instead of, doing his job, and then poof! Trapped in a Guardian. Once freed, he starts helping Coco's himself, but this time it's a soldier Coco trying to get back to its platoon. While helping it, and killing the next Titan, Sonic flies off to the next island where wash, rinse, repeat, only this time, it's Tails. This Coco is a pilot waiting for its teacher to come about, which said teacher never actually does, and the fucker passes on by Tails telling it that it did a good job with fixing whatever the fuck this is. But after all of this, Sonic is almost done with saving his friends. That voice from the start tells him to deactivate these towers, and I have to be perfect. And I have to be honest with you guys. Me referencing the Guardians was written way before I learned about these towers. Now this was a trap in actuality, and while yes, everyone including Eggman escaped from the digital world, there's a small little problem. Each time Sonic freed a friend from the Guardian that they were trapped in, it got absorbed into him. Now this gave him some new skills, but it was also corrupting him, as he was on borrowed time after absorbing Tails' Guardian. When the last tower got deactivated, the corruption in Sonic got so bad that it put his mind in between realities. The voice pops back up saying that it's going to destroy the world. And so by the same bullshit from Kamen Rider Kabuto, seriously, I love Tendo, he's a fucking awesome character. But how was he able to get that fucking Zector? Never mind, not the fucking point, that's for the future. Amy, Knuckles, and Tails get Sonic's mind back while giving up their own bodies. Thanks to the equivalent exchange, Sonic and Eggman teams up to defeat that voice. Once the preparations are set, we take out the last Titan, but the final fight isn't over because the thing escapes to space! Sage reveals that Supersonic won't be enough, so she pilots the last Titan, which apparently these things are Zords, to help Supersonic take out the End. Wow, that's a fucking time waster. I could have just fucking changed the system time, but in all seriousness, this was still a fucking waste of time because there was no big climactic battle, just a quick time event. Yeah, I played on normal. But Sage's pitching arm just fucking sucks, so she sacrifices herself to take out the End. Now, the story is alright, if a little formulaic, which as a fan of Power Rangers, Super Sentai, and since I've already referenced it, Go Lyoko, this really isn't a problem. Hell, once Persona 4 came around, that series became a little formulaic as well, so it's not something video games isn't new to. It's just, this story didn't really click with me that well. Could be because of how segmented things are, which, now that I think about it, I'm starting to really regret my Breath of the Wild video, but regardless, my main issue are with the Cocos themselves. I couldn't care about them. Seeing the struggles of the ancient that they were tied to, was cool, but literally only for world building. These things could have stayed in the world of the living and not passed on for all I cared. I wish we had more time with Sage and Eggman, because unless you bought those Eggman notes, you would have not have known Eggman was starting to care for Sage. The cutscenes that showcase them at the start seems more one-sided than anything else, until the end where Eggman doesn't really want Sage to go into space, but allows her. I mean, I guess I would have preferred the Eggman notes to be full of cutscenes and optional shit connected to the fishing. I mean, it shakes things up with them, but at the end, I don't buy it. Yeah, sounds heartless, I know, but hey, at least Sage isn't jabby. I like her care for the good doctor, and her warming up to Team Sonic plus Amy was neat. Though that's really it to her. A nice character that's thankfully still alive at the end. The only storyline I liked with Team Sonic plus Amy is with Tails. Apparently inside the Guardian, Tails encountered a shadow, for a lack of a better term, and he started to doubt himself as a person, thinking that he's just a burden to Sonic, but in the end he gets the confidence boost that he needs to go out into the world on his own. Regardless, I like seeing the origins of the Chaos Emeralds. It's odd that these things are just alien to Earth in this world, but seeing the ancients trying to rebuild this civilization and trying to fend off the End was nice to see. Though the fucking end of the story is really anticlimactic, both on a gameplay and story level. Since this is a story section, the End is hyped up so much for it to be killed in like 5 seconds. Makes me wonder why the ancients even had trouble with the damn thing in the first place. They had the Chaos Emeralds. Chaos is an ancient, and we saw what he could do with all 7 of them. So, why couldn't they, I don't know, take the damn thing out? I mean, I made the Zord connection already, so bring these mechs together. I mean, it's cool to see the background of the ancients not tied to Team Sonic plus Amy, but that's about it to them. Regardless, the story is fine at the end, and the only big thing I want is those Eggman notes to be full-out cutscenes, but that's really about it. For starters, the combat isn't the best. Like, I haven't used any of the new skills Sonic gets in this game on purpose. A majority of the time when I activated these, they were either on accident or in the training thing in between levels, with sole exception being the Sonic Boom. This is a fantastic ability that kind of breaks the game. I seriously wish I used this during the first boss way more than I did. The Sonic Boom is pretty much machine gun. Like, when it comes down to these fucks that turn into cylinders for some reason, the sonic boom goes straight through them like a hot knife through butter. The only way this could be better if you could actually hear Jackson's state each time the skill is used. Like, against this Strider mini-boss, I was able to get its health down to like 1/4. It's funny how fast this thing could wipe the fucking floor with enemies, which kind of makes combat brain dead. You have some basic punches that you can pull off by hitting the homing attack button, but there's no combo game with it. It's nothing like Devil May Cry's pause system for single button combat, and I personally have difficulties trying to get some of these skills to actually work. Well, aside from the recovery smash, but I barely got any use out of it. As controversial as this may sound, I think the HD Werehog stages do a better job at combat. I say this because I personally prefer chaining together light and heavy attacks in a beat 'em up setting. That's why I singled out the HD version of Sonic Unleashed, because the SD version, Wii and PS2, for whatever reason wants you to alternate between Sonic's fists. Makes no sense, but I'm not at that game yet. I just find combat boring. I guess I only have myself to blame, because again, I only use the Sonic Boom because this just mows down enemies. To be fair, it's not valuable in the main bosses all the time. I only counted like 2 enemies that weren't mini-bosses, I think, that I couldn't use it on. Those being this fucking thing that you have to use a side loop on in order to damage it, and these water balloon guardians. That's really it. I'm either just ignoring them or hitting them with a sonic boom. Mini-bosses are pretty much the same deal except for those towers. They were hard for me to actually get a lock on, but that's really it. Actually, no, wait, there was that Ashura thing that I didn't really use it against. Probably because I didn't unlock the skill yet, though I think the most likely thing is that I didn't realize how fucking powerful the sonic boom is. Boss fights, like full-out proper boss fights, I can't cheese my way out of this. Though being in supersonic mode wasn't fun. Like, to get this out of the way, the bosses are more annoying to me than anything else. I don't like flying around to get my hits in. It felt a little more awkward for me to control, though I hated using the parrying skill in the Wyvern Supreme fights. I was able to power through the Wyvern fight because I was able to get the timing down for that fight, but I hate when I have to do it consecutively. Like my fight against Supreme, I just gave up. There was no strategy. I just wanted this fucker dead, and I smashed the attack button, not caring if a Chow got in the way. The boss does want me to parry, but hitting 2 buttons at the same time does not work for me. I'm glad everything isn't mapped to 1 button anymore, but I would rather it not be 2 buttons. I just think one of the buttons, or since I played PlayStation, mapping that shit to circle would have worked out better. It made this boss annoying is what I'm trying to get at. The other bosses are fine, and hell, I think I had some fun with Knight, though admittedly it took me way too long to figure out that I had to parry his shield, which was actually surprisingly easy, which makes my bitching feel so pointless. Well, the only other time I really had a hard time with parrying is with these dog enemies. I'm a dog person. I love my dog, but these guys make me hate my love of these fantastic creatures. I can never get the damn timing down for them, and all I wanted was just to run the fuck away, but nope. They block your path until they close in and just wah, wah, wah. Though I have to say the only true disappointment in the boss department is that on normal and easy, the final boss is a QTE. That legitimately pissed me off. Like, on hard mode, it's Touhou. It's actually ironic since the only Touhou game I played was Touhou Luna Nights, and I still haven't beaten it thanks to Flandre, or how the fuck it's pronounced. I'm not really into a Touhou except for Pachihuri, but regardless. Why is this locked behind hard mode? They already had me doing the damn bullet hell shit beforehand, so why lock it behind a difficulty? Not only did I think the story end was a tad bit anticlimactic, but they could have done something more. Doubly so since I didn't know about this until I watched someone else's review and double-checked people's walkthroughs. Combat is dull is what I'm trying to get at. Bosses are more annoying than anything else, and the final boss in normal and easy is non-existent. Now, one thing I do have to say when it comes down to exploration is that, well, Breath of the Wild is better at this. There are apparently invisible walls across the field, while Breath of the Wild, after getting the tutorial done and over with, you could go literally anywhere, even straight towards the final boss. In the long run, I wasn't expecting that since they described this as more open zone than world. This feels more like Mario Odyssey, which is a game that I honestly hate. Nothing really changed on my opinion with that game. The only difference is that there are still levels that you can find and run through. Though, unlike Odyssey, I find it fun to actually run around some of these areas, even being able to force my way on icy mountaintops. They have mini obstacle courses all around for those memory tokens, and these can be quite fun to actually do. It's kind of like I finally got to play a video game version of Double Dare Guts. The fuck do you mean Guts got a video game? Regardless, it's fun to find these level unlock things, the key for the vaults, or memory tokens. I think it's a great way to reward my sense of curiosity or just running each way all around. Though this shit gets nullified by the best Sonic character coming back. Big the cat. I love Big, he's a cool character, and I never get tired of the fishing in Sonic Adventure. I will stand by my word saying that his story should have been optional, but seeing him return put a smile on my face. You can find these purple coins on the field that a certain plumber I mentioned is missing, and by giving them to Big, he allows you to fish. You get rewarded X amount of tokens for the different fish you catch. And you can really rake in the amount of memory tokens, keys, portal openers, or the fucking attack and defense power-ups. Now that's a game breaker in combo with the Sonic Boom, because while I didn't get maxed out early game, you can just buy 99 of both upgrades, go to that hermit, and boom! You can truly become the god of destruction. I love the fishing, but I think some of this should not have been there just to help with exploration for some of these items. Then again, I'm shooting this point in the foot because you do have to find the purple coins as well. So I guess it works, doubly so if you get sick of exploring, and triply so for the levels. Well, yeah, I don't think these things were needed if the goal was to make an open zone. Some of these levels ain't bad, though I hate that they got rid of the drifting as a mainstay ability. Only brought it back in a very, very awkward level. But trying to hit a corner in some of these levels that didn't bring back the drift was awkward. The jumping is as well, it feels like they put way too much momentum in the jump. In any 3D section in these levels, you can easily overshoot stuff. Now, as a general rule of thumb, I'm not a big fan of how Boo Sonic plays in 3D. It always felt a little awkward when I just want to back up and try to nab something like Red Ring in Sonic Generations. It's just a little too loose for my liking, and apply that to the jump having more energy, then that's a recipe for a bad time. I think they just need to add like a little more weight to Sonic's jump or just decrease that momentum. Aside from that, these levels are kind of fun to play through. At first I thought the shorter level length was going to be a problem, not asking for Cannon Core, Final Rush, Crazy Gadget, or hell, even the HD Eggman, and I shudder at the thought, but the different win conditions for those keys increases the replay value of these levels. I don't find them to be bad, wish we had more styles in Green Hill, Chem Plant, Sky Sanctuary, and City, but hey, it's fine, I don't mind these levels, and again, they can be pretty fun to run through, if a little too easy. Then again, I did not do all these levels, maybe like 80%, don't really care, but just like with combat and these map challenges, these levels can be pretty brain dead. Oh yeah, almost forgot, that's another brain dead thing. The challenges are there. These unlock spots on the map like how the towers give you map data in Breath of the Wild. To clear these challenges, you have to sidestep, run the final part of Brain Surge, leap these light things with Psyloop, pass through these squares, or jump rope. The fuck is this? I neither hate nor like these things. These are typically the first thing I go to, but fucking hell, these are boring. I wish there was a little more variation on these, because some of these you won't fail no matter who you are, unless you suck at parrying or are intentionally trying to fail. Hell, I would have mentioned these if there weren't any time-related ones. Oh yeah, some of these challenges you can only do at night, and there's no way to change the time. Fucking hell. I mean, you could ask, Revolver, why don't you just fuck off somewhere else in the game and then come back? And that's a fantastic question. Well, for one, my ADHD makes my memory a little horrible, so I get sidetracked a little too easily. But, you know, let's remove that from the equation. You can make it there just to be out of time and the sun rises. This means you're sitting until the time changes, and I really don't like that. I hit pause on OBS, waited, and resumed the recording for some stuff that didn't need to be time locked. I think the first one you can come across is this tree challenge, where the trees light up and you have to side loop them. I don't get why this is only available at night, doubly so outside the whole no time change thing. There aren't a lot of these, making the whole thing feel pointless. I mean, if there was a time change, I wouldn't be bitching about this, but there isn't, so here we are. Though I don't get why the fast travel is locked behind this, if I'm not teleporting to the challenges. But regardless, at the end of the day, things are a little more mindless in terms of gameplay for me. This is a good experiment, we just need the fat trimmed on this gameplay style, if they want to go for it for the next decade of Sonic games. Personally, I would rather go back to the Adventure style, but then again, I love Adventure 1. But seriously, this can indeed work, just next time, don't lock the final boss behind a fucking difficulty. That honestly pissed me off. Though what pissed me off even more was the fucking pinball section. Now, there are puzzles and such before the boss of each area, and in the third section they have you play pinball, and cool, I like pinball. I grinded for lives when I was younger in Casinopolis, and I played that 3D pinball a lot back in the Windows XP days, though I just hate this one. The biggest reason is a 5 million score requirement. The red rings will double the score multiplier until it's like 245 or some shit like that. Don't know, don't really care. The thing is also too small, and because of this, don't know if it's shitty luck or not, but I keep getting fucking gutter balls. It's not fun to do whatsoever, and if they really wanted this to work, they should have extended that playfield. Casinopolis is fun because of how big the playfield is. If this shit was cut down in half, everyone would be running through the sewers for the C and B ranks. Hopefully they just don't do this again in any future game. Like seriously, it peaked with Casinopolis. For running at 30 frames, the game runs pretty good, though there is a good chunk of pop-up in the PS4 and Xbox One ports. I do not want to know how bad it is on the Switch. Even then, I've seen it run at 60, and yeah, it's better, but I don't think you'll miss the extra frames. Then again, I don't want to get the newer consoles, and I can't put the game on my computer. Both space and internet-wise is the reason why my streams look like shit. But regardless, even then, I love the look of this game. Aside from the realistic backgrounds, yeah, definitely not a fan of that, seriously. It screams Sonic 06, which I'm probably the only one who sees that. I tried to stay away from spoilers, so I can't really say if anyone else made that connection or if I'm going insane. Again, it looks great, and I love whenever that Blood Moon equivalent rolls around. You can't really see it here since I'm experimenting with console recording with OBS, but it looks beautiful no matter the system. I fucking love the look of the beams in the night sky. It's fantastic. Okay, real quick, if I sound like any different, I just got done dealing with a pretty bad cold, but I still sound like I have one. I mean, it sounds like a milder one, but it still sounds like a cold nonetheless. I only mention this because I know for a fact I'm gonna fucking sound different for this part, especially since I'm re-recording because I didn't like what I initially wrote in this script, and no, you will never know what I originally said. But regardless, the music is just alright, though the shit blends into the fucking background, like so much so that it just like disappears. Like, I remember nothing aside from the track for the fishing, which I fucking love, by the way. If there's like a 10-hour version out there, please let me know. I may make that the stream loading thing for my live streams. But regardless, just looking back at my footage, I just can't remember a track. But listening to the boss themes on their own, again, they're fine. Not something I would choose to listen to nor keep playing, though they just really blend into each other for me. Like, I was listening to them on YouTube and I was just jumping from one to another. It just felt like I had the same exact fucking song going. I mean, it just didn't get me. Then again, I've been listening to the same handful of songs. Like, half of the views of the Heisei Kamen Rider intros, you know, the official one uploaded by Touhou, like, again, half of those views are fucking mine. But then again, that's just for Hibiki's first intro. I don't really get why Hibiki and Blade's second intros aren't there. But anyways, the main reason is that I fucking love classical music. I'm gonna be sad when I start watching Hibiki and the second intro rolls around. But I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, but I just can't remember it. It's not like other themes in the series, like Live and Learn, Open Your Heart, Escape from the City, That's the Way I Like It, each theme for Lost World, Sonic Heroes, or Seaside Hill. I guess it's just not for me. So is the voice acting. I'm not really a fan of these particular voices. Like, Sydney Robinson, she's been voicing the Pink Hedgehog since 2010, more specifically Sonic Free Riders. And for English, she's synonymous to Amy for me. No, for a fact I misspelled synonymous in my script. But this is the first time I really didn't like her performance. It felt generic, and I'm shocked because she's fucking talented. Though I guess voicing characters in High Guardian Spice fucking cursed her. Roger Craig Smith toning his Sonic voice to sound older is just weird. Like, I got used to it, but I didn't like it, though I kind of took his portrayal as Sonic to already sound older compared to Jason Griffith and Ryan Drummond, but then again, that's just me. Only other voice I'll trash is Dave B. Mitchell as Knuckles, but I think this is the first time I heard him as the junk-carrying echidna, so I guess I just gotta play more stuff that he voiced the dude in. But in terms of the other actors, yeah, they're good. fit the roles perfectly. I mean, Colleen was able to voice Tails for the second movies, so that should show how well her voice fits the character. I still have yet to watch these movies. Are they any good? Well, regardless, it's time to join the normal sounding Revolver for the final part of this video. I'm being slightly petty with the score this time around, but taking into account of story, characters, gameplay, graphics, and sound, Sonic Frontiers gets a 5 for me. Now, the part where it becomes petty is the final boss being locked behind the damn difficulty. I hate this. Any game that does this really bugs me, and this would be a 6 if, this wasn't there. The only reason why it's so low is just gameplay related. Things are a little mindless, stuck to the Sonic Boom for combat most of the time, individual levels are a tad bit too easy, no real variety in challenges, and really annoying bosses. I know I'm sounding negative, but I don't hate the game, I'm just a little more indifferent. It's a nice shake-up gameplay-wise, it just needs some fat trimmed. Also, probably a little more enemies in the mix. Zones are a tad bit too small for the lack of enemies. Breath of the Wild got away from it because of how big the game is, but there could be a little more enemies in the mix. This could help with enemies like that Emerald Stealer, because that thing never did a fucking thing to me, and I made sure to get the fuck out of its area. I literally had to look up what it does. I mean, I guess I could consider myself lucky. Story-wise, it's good, though again, those damn Eggman logs needed to be full-out fucking cutscenes because of its relationship to Sage. Though, I am now reminded of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, and that's terrifying because Mac and his relationship with his father with that twist is the only good thing about that season. Even then, I liked Sage. She was nice. I liked seeing her warm up to Team Sonic plus Amy. Tails deciding to go on a journey to better himself was a great thing to do, though I'm going to bet that will never actually happen. I'll review Megaforce if it actually does happen. Knuckles and the Last of His Kind stuff was fine, and I forgot Amy's deal. I really couldn't care for the Coco. And I like Sonic no matter what. Love that he kept on going during the fourth zone, despite the corruption hitting him like a fucking brick. The story was alright, very anticlimactic at the end for me, but blame that one on the difficulty, and I will never drop that, by the way. Oy, I liked learning about the Ancients. It was a nice addition to mention that Chaos is indeed an Ancient. And on that note, I did like the callbacks to the other games in the series, though I'm sure newer people will be lost on stuff like that. Though in the end, the Sonic formula just needs some trimming, and I think Sonic Team has a great style for the next decade for the Blue Blur. Hopefully that DLC that literally just got announced by the time I finish this script puts a little more life into the game. If not, then again, just trim some of this fat, like making the combat a little less mind-numbing, and yeah, you got a good game. Don't be like Ganaja, be Wild Force. Regardless, if you want some legal ways to play this game, then it's pretty much on everything. The PC, Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox One and Series X. Really wish they were named the 720 and 440 respectively, or just something better than that. Regardless, I don't think I'll be able to do 2 videos a month, doubly so with this being December, but hey, look forward to more videos. I'm also trying to stream, so if you don't mind shitty quality, as in video quality, my Twitch is below. Don't worry, trying to get better internet and trying to stick to a schedule, but regardless, next time for sure, it will be Elisa. So like, comment, subscribe, all that shit, and have a nice day, night, afternoon, morning, or whatever time it is for you.
Vandalize my heart. Fight the pain away, my head is in ruins. Need you in my veins, don't know how you do it. Come and live your word. Vandalize my heart. You keep me safe.
Are you saying I outpaced you?
I could pin you down right now.
What?
No one could stop me. You couldn't stop me. I could have an alibi in half a second.